That statue is right behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, like you virtually sat in the middle
Yeah, it's
of it.
like I should talk like it's my work. It's wonderful, wonderful space we're in here.
But I'm a bit nervous actually filming you. Right.
I'll try and stick to my normal voice because I tend to.
No, just go wherever you're going. Right then, go on, tell us, what did you do? Right, first of all, it's John Lloyd.
Yep.
Go on.
Yep, it's John Lloyd Jr. I was a part of the Reno project. I suppose I was in charge, if you can say the word, of filming the excavation and events surrounding it as it unfolded, which was real good fun.
Good, why was it fun?
Why was it fun? Because it was absolutely chaotic at times. It was great. It was a really good learning experience. Like, as a practitioner myself, I think I'd had an idea of what it was going to be, and I think me and you together within those first couple of days, we had a little bit of a loggerhead. I don't fucking care if it's this or that. We've got to get as much as we can. We had Harry and Pete, who we should say hello to. They're scattered around the world at the moment, but they were involved too. So yeah, it was real big learning curve. Like I explained to you at the time, like I was quite on a rails, had my own style, and then when it became more of a collaboration, which is probably a word that I'm going to overuse during this, is collaboration. But from that, I think it was day 2, because we were, as well as thinking of the broader project, we were also thinking about these nightly updates to keep people in. So we got sidetracked by that for a bit, and we were doing interviews, but we got some really, really great, honest and true footage of the dig, which we're waiting to assemble, so yeah.
Tell us who Harry and Pete are.
Harry and Pete are the worst guys. You don't want to work with those guys. No, they're wonderful, both great artists in their own right. I think Pete's picking berries in Albania or something at the moment, and Harry's moved down to London. I'm sure that they'll be back up at some point to be involved in stuff, but you know, artists will go and do what artists do. So
Pete did the sound.
Yeah, Pete was doing sound throughout. We got some great sounds of the diggers. There's lots of digging going on, and then Harry was on second camera throughout. So some of the times we'd bunch up and we'd film the same thing, but then we was very aware that there was so much going on that we'd split off and film.
Who decided to split work, John?
Who decided? Sometimes it was you.
Okay.
Sometimes it was just needs must, because you know what it was like on the dig. I mean, you had a microphone on you practically at all times, so poor Pete was going absolutely insane at some points because he had a good free microphones. So he had that, and he had 2 of the lav mics on people, so he was hearing multiple conversations. So some of it was dictated by Pete pointing over there, let's all roll over here. Then you had some big characters on the dig who, whether you had to kind of resist following them because they had that kind of magnetic personalities or loud personalities, and you could end up with you could follow them because they were always doing something interesting. Some people sat on their arse and didn't dig at all, and then you had some real dedicated team members who I think you'll see when we actually finish this project. You'll see they'll be throughout it because they were consistent throughout the day. So we got a lot of them working hard and having a good time, and a lot of good food as well. So but then we decide anyway. Back to your original question of who decided what. I think it was just we'd have an idea of what was going on during the day, so we knew the day that we should unveil this. The day we should get down to the dance floor. Although I'm sure we've got some great footage where you're like, we found the fucking Reno dance floor. And it's, no, it's dance floor's over here. So there's loads of moments like that, and they remember when the flares came out? Oh yeah. And I think my favourite footage, which was, I'm not going to say spoiled by the BBC being there because they had every right to be there, but it was when Dave got he found the vinyl bag. I just think that the excitement that was encapsulated in that moment is, look at this, and he just held it up to the camera. Brilliant.
Hello. How are you?
Hey.
Good, thanks.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah.
I won't ruin it.
Say hello.
Yeah?
Yeah, say hello.
So this is my friend Tanya Brigera. Linda is,
hello.
I was telling you about the groups that we did in the archaeology of the club.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to to take up residence in here.
Yeah.
Is that an exclusive, Linda?
Yeah, no,
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah, this is John Alistair. John filmed the excavation.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
That's a great podcast.
I believe we have some mutual friends. You know, I work with MMU and whatnot, so you know your names are around, banded around those parts.
Yeah. You know, I was showing you the pictures last week of the useful art and the Art Teal archive, and this is Tanya. She's
hello. Yeah.
partner in crime.
Yeah. No, that was great. You know, it was really revealing, and you know, like the back history, it made me kind of like, ooh. Yeah, not always positive towards it as well, you know me. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was great. It really made me kind of think. Yeah. Good.
Well, I've typed up all our notes.
I know I've seen them. They're great, aren't they? They work great together.
Yeah,
You've got quite a job
we're
there.
writing our manifestos.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we did a long lineup of all the staff, like in order of how long they'd either been working or they'd known the gallery.
Oh, wow.
And Linda was first in line because she was born across the road.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow.
Okay. Well,
All right, then. Right, see you later. Ta-ra.
Just some arty friends of ours, you know, we're friends in high places around here.
Yeah.
So where were we? I was rambling, wasn't I?
No, don't be daft. Tell me about collaboration. What did you learn about collaboration?
What did I learn about collaboration?
Yeah, while we was together. Because
Me
we
and
did
you
a lot of
specifically. Me and you
things on the
specifically, all right,
spot,
everybody.
on the spur of the moment.
I think just that mutual support and it sounds like not stopping out of fear of things not being perfect. Do you know, like I think so. I think there was always support from you to just get in there and get it done rather than overthinking what we were doing and then maybe end up with something a bit more mundane because we got lots of dynamic footage and it's a hell of a job that we've got everybody doing editing it because of the nature of how the dig was and like there was times when you talk about collaboration, that's the one moment I remember there was a day, I can't remember specifically, but it was a bit of a wet day and not a lot of people had appointments and couldn't be there, so then we had to put the film gear down and get in and help dig out because that's when the clock was ticking, wasn't it? And people are setting the lights and once that, because for a time it was timeless. It was, you know, the end of the first week, it felt like we were going to be there forever. We were cut off from the environment around it, became its own community. But then once it became, you were running around selling tickets because you had so many hats on. Yeah. God, and then I remember some of those moments as we were trying to build that pathway. Yeah. And you were elsewhere then. You were like, I'm sure we've got footage of you like, what, you're fucking filming them? Like, okay, back on the bricks. So I think
that's the real thing.
Yeah, I think collaboration beyond just what your job was there to do. Yeah. You know, we've done that.
Exactly.
We filmed, but now, like, proof is in where the project's going now, is getting more involved with working with people and helping them to come to terms, I suppose, with the art world and what they can do and what they can deal with throughout. So, yeah, it's big. It feels big and it feels good and it's exciting. And I think that just having you there, how many conversations do we have at all times of the day? And mini crises and all sorts. So, and I think that's it, like not being afraid of partnership and it doesn't matter where people have come from, you know, if people like, or what their background is, or whether they're really engaged with art, or whether they're really engaged, like everybody's opinion had an equality to it throughout, and I think that's going to be great going forward as well. Yeah. Because the collaboration's getting bigger, you get more and more entities involved as we go ahead, so it's exciting. Yeah.
What did you think worked really well?
About the dig?
Yeah, about anything, the first thing that comes to your head.
What works really well?
Well, it should be what works is the question. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think like some of the stuff I was just saying is what worked was that, even though obviously, look how young I am, I wasn't part of the Reno, but that, I think what was very successful was you managing to reignite whatever feeling people had that has been missing since the Reno shutdown, and this sense of community that was there for all its rights and wrongs and goods and bads and ills. It was like you seemed to have reconnected people with a time in their life that maybe they hadn't forgot about, but taken a back step and maybe help them address some kind of, don't want to say address a pain, but some kind of significant thing that they didn't realise they didn't have by not having a strong sense of community anymore. And you saw that especially towards the end of the dig when you're down to your final soldiers, and we were lighting little fires, and people are hanging on. And that's really good for where the project's going, because people are willing and able to come back and go into the next phase. And I think that real sense of community, I think, was the most successful thing about the project. For people who weren't part of the Reno, people who were interested in archaeology, people who are interested in just access to the art world, but people who just want to be around other people. And I think that was really successful, and that'll serve us well going forward into the next phase if we can harness that.
What did that, right, I don't know what was your angle? You know, like you just said, for people who are interested in archaeology, what's your angle on, what was it?
Well, I'm really, God, it makes me sound like a voyeur, but I'm really, obviously I love people watching, which I get to do through, especially doing a documentary, you get to just sit back and watch events unfold, which I kind of wish I was able to do that a bit more, but I think just from the nature of that thing,
what do you mean? You wish you could have done it a bit
just
more?
Almost been invisible and just filming and then as stuff without. But sometimes you get to know people, so you're filming them and then they're talking to you. You know, everyone's like, you got Fonzo, hey JJ, and then hey John. Someone's talking about football. Someone's telling me a story. So that ability to be invisible might have been nice, but it would have been a totally different thing. Then, I think.
I loved that you was involved. I loved you that you made friends and things like that.
But
you did. I'm not being daft. And also you had fans, because people loved your edits.
Okay.
People were saying who's editing it, and
that was a trial by fire, wasn't it? Which is funny now, because we've been talking about how we're both really into the mundane. And then that's what we hate about the first edit. That was just fucking boring. Went crazy. And then there was one night when I was like, we got back late or something happened in the footage, and then I sped everything up, and I was like, Linda, this is what it is.
I love that. Strawberry lettuce.
And that's another thing, getting introduced to some great music. But I've lost track of what that question was.
I've fucking lost track of it.
Doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
What was? But so that was, I think, most successful though, is just that. The integration.
Your edits.
Well, the edits. It makes you sound like a right twat when you say it, but having the freedom from you to just go and sum up the day, you get to do it. It's through intuition. It wasn't corporate, even though we did a few that were talking head interviews. And some of them are great. Like we got some good 15-minute interviews with people talking, and then some of the more wild edits were. It's almost like you get to go be a musician and sum up the day somewhere. And that's what we're trying to expand into a bigger project, I suppose. But with the influence of is it Reno 12 we're calling them? Is it
the Reno 12.
Yeah, Reno 12
rather
than just me. So if we can get people to do their versions of that. And then
their version of the edit.
Yeah. So that's what the learning curve is going to be, isn't it? Just convince the people that they can go absolutely crazy, because nothing's set in stone until you decide it is, until you abandon it. So,
But I can't believe the trust that we grew between each other. You know, like you said, after the first few days, I fucking hate that, or no. But also, I would say I loved that as well.
And I think that was some from the day that we met each other. It was quite apparent. There was no airs and graces. Nobody's trying to fool anybody into what anybody is. It was just. I think we just swore at each other. I think our first interaction across the park. I've been waiting fucking ages to finish out. People don't know what I mean when you see. And let me explain what it's like when you meet Linda. It's rare. Sometimes you'll meet her and she'll be like having a coffee and a tea and a notebook. But then sometimes you're scanning the horizon. She just appears with a bag and a big a cardigan and just. And then you're like, which Linda's coming today? And
oh God,
it's
really?
Great. Yeah, that's it. But that's good. And I think that is something we've managed to maintain. And even we have wobbles, or we have any problems. I think we've managed to get it to the point where we just communicate, whether it's over the phone.
Yeah.
And it's normally the phone, isn't it? We're not emailing and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
good
don't
to-
feel like we've had any problems though with each other.
No.
You mean like if something's gone wrong with what we're doing?
I think it's more that we're just honest with each other from, I don't think we've got this, have we got this, and then push it one way or the other. And even ideas that haven't, like beyond the filming, just the ideas of what the whole thing's about. Because there's a real big cross-section of interest, like, because I'm really interested in, like I was saying to you, like how art can be used for people to express themselves in ways that they don't normally have the chance to, which it seems that's the way that you're circling as well, and your thinking is, how can you give this community of people and these individuals a voice through the art world and introduce them to this kind of big, vast white space and what they can do with it. And that's really exciting. Doing the film is going to be great.
I can't wait to see the footage, John.
Yeah, I know. I'm making you wait, aren't
Yeah, no, you are.
Holding you on.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to see the footage, to see what's in there.
Yeah, there's moments, God, I know what you're like, you analyse every moment, or you just going to let it be what it is.
I don't know, I just can't wait to see it. I don't know. Because I can't believe we did it.
I know.
You know, yeah.
And it is like, oh God, it's thinking to the feeling of the excitement to the start into the absolute madness in the middle.
Why is it madness?
Because in the middle, I don't know if you remember what it was like, but we were just, there's one particular day that me and Harry always refer to where I don't know if we had anything in particular, or it was one of those days where we couldn't, it's not that, I don't know, I could never say this to archaeologists, but sometimes there's not much to do on a dig.
Right.
So we had one of those days where there's not much going on. We were getting a lot of filler stuff. Like the day before would be great because we were concentrating on people's hands and people's faces and getting...
Yeah, okay. Well, I can't wait to see it.
But then there was one day where we were just getting... me and Harry looked at you, we were both getting the same shot here. We were both sliding back and forth. So that's something in retrospect, maybe on days like that, if we could have just sat down and had a brew and gone, well, what can we really get that's valuable today?
Yeah.
Whereas so there is a crazy part in the middle where it's like, oh my God, what are we filming here? But it's just empty buckets and rain and people in a huff.
But when we've got distance and we look at it, they may be good.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because things say things, don't they?
And this is what we were saying, like what moments will just play out and what we put with them and how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've got leading up to the night of the celebration.
Oh yeah.
That was real fun. Because the open day was pissing it down.
Oh, it was awful that day, wasn't it? It was proper, awful. And the tent nearly blew away.
Oh my God. And then just people, they're packing down. And I think that's some of my favourite moments. It's just that right at the end, we just kept showing up. Until it changed. As soon as the fence came down, it was flattening. That mood kind of...
Yeah, it went away.
It was like that space got given back to whatever it is now.
The corporate world.
Traffic.
But it really was a bit like going to the Reno. Not in that you go to the Reno, but you go into a place where other people are that you want to be with.
Which goes back to what I was saying before about you managing to rekindle that sense of community, which now you're taking to a bigger step.
Yeah.
With the next stage of the project. So.
It feels like you're saying that I did it though, because I didn't really, did I? I just opened up the space.
Yeah, so you provided the conditions for that. Because it could have, that was the risk of it all, wasn't it? That people might have come for one day and say, oh, digging up that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, I was shitting myself. At the beginning when there was just 5 of us, I was utterly shitting myself.
Right.
Thinking, because it's fucking impossible if only 5, and I can't be seen to be begging, as well.
Well, that was one of the things where then, because we had to do a campaign with you.
Yeah.
We were meant to be filming and then we were doing this, and you hated it, you doing this, so I really need people to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking do this. But we got it, and people came, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like I said, some people, and you can't blame the people who came just to be around people.
No, absolutely.
That's great. And then you get to the point where you see people come, and they'd come whether they're on a break from work or passing through, and then and there were days when it was absolutely packed and full of people. And there was a few nice days. Yeah,
there was a lot of sun actually. Yeah.
There was that really odd day where everything was that bizarre shade of pink and orange, wasn't it?
Oh, when the sun from the Sahara or something.
It was really nice. Odd day. It had a really ominous feel that day.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? I remember my daughter started out with what the fuck's going on, and she had a picture of the sun, you know, on Facebook, because she shits herself about, you know, end of world things.
That would have been good for you, though, that the world ends just as you're about to get to the dance floor. Somebody's finally going to figure out where the gambling room is, and then...
Oh, go on about that, because that made you laugh.
Oh,
when when everyone was arguing about where everything was.
It's just when you go in, obviously that comes with the territory of filming loads of people, is these repeat patterns, and it was just so, like, me, Pete and Harry used to look at each other like, God knows where this gambling room was, because so many people were adamant. And even when we had the meeting the other day, I heard people still, even though you dug it up and went down to the foundations, which speaks so strongly about human memory and our bias of what we remember and why it's right, which is again feeds into the next stage of the project wonderfully, because we're going to get such contrasting pieces of art if we can excavate people's memories, because we've done the space. That's what I think it comes down to in a way. What's the next question? I hate this.
You're doing great. What's the next question? What do you think could have been done better?
I've got filthy deeds.
Done
better, as in what, for the...
Both. What could have been done better in your own, and what could have been done better... All right, now start with the excavation itself, right? So you evaluate in me and the excavation, what could have been done better?
What could have been done better? It's still a real tough one to answer, because... Let me think. Be careful. Just got a gun behind this camera.
No, I honestly got to know. I don't mind what
I think because it's hard to say, because it went the way it went, and I remember originally it was like, wasn't it originally that you had set days and these people would come around this day?
Oh,
and
yeah.
That went right out the window.
Yeah,
no,
so absolutely.
I don't think the way the actual physicality of the dig could have been done much better, because we had those things like, the concrete's here that we didn't know about, or maybe a lot of people were talking about, we should have started further back, but you can't help that there's a road built there now. So we had to dig what we could dig, and that was it. But I honestly don't know what could have been done better, and maybe that's a question for the archaeologists themselves. Like, but as far as your organising of it and how that went, I think it went the only way it possibly could go.
I had to keep letting go all the time. Like you said, I had a timetable that no fucker was turning up, and then people would say, and I had to really keep letting go all of the time. And then we couldn't dance on the dance floor, which are what then we couldn't project on the walls, which are what then
it was this series of these challenges that kept coming up. So that's why I would hesitate to say it could have been, because you would have had to react to those same challenges either way.
And the very, very first day, we nearly couldn't excavate it at all, because they thought the concrete was on the Reno, didn't they?
I remember.
Do you remember?
I do.
And another thing that, I know I'm going on about me a lot, another thing that I remember was I had to keep going, no, we can fucking do it, to the archaeologists, because they kept going, no, we can't do it because of the concrete, and then I would pull a moody. Do you remember? We got to do, we can't get down to the dance floor, and then Andy saved our bacon.
I think that then, I suppose that feeds directly into, as a practitioner, even though all the benefits that we've talked about of the way that the film has gone is, and it goes back to what I was saying before about being able to be an invisible entity who's got a camera that's getting everything. But it's not the film we wanted to make. But then I do sometimes struggle with letting go of the fact that that's what the film could have been. But now it's going to be much more than that.
Yeah.
But the film could have been a documentation of your struggle to, and it would have had dramatic arcs, but it feels a little bit TV, maybe a little bit.
Those will be trapped in there, though.
Yeah, they're in there, but they're not,
as
filmmakers, I don't think we honed in on make sure you're getting this, make sure.
Make sure you get a looking stressed, crying.
I think you're going to love listening to some of the audio of you talking to people.
Wow.
Just because these funny moments, like, I remember the day that the one show wanted to interview you, and you had so much going on, and you didn't want to do it. and then you were, you know, so you're effing and jeffing. And he's really nice. He's a really nice guy.
Oh,
but then you're going to your, like, you're being nice to Luke, and then in between takes like fucking. Meanwhile, Pete's
just being sneaky and capturing it.
And I've not watched.
Do you know what? There's so many angles of this film, isn't there? That, you know, I bet we could make more than one film. I bet we could make.
That's an exclusive. You heard it first.
Yeah.
You said franchise.
Yeah, no, a franchise of excavation.
But I was like I was saying to you, I think there's lots of room with the way we have done it. Is the fact that we're going to be introducing people to getting involved in editing and choose it, which is going to be great. But then also doing these smaller, short films out of it.
Yeah, true enough.
And gallery based and all. And so we're introducing people to a larger, rather than just this is a narrative film. This is what happened, because we've got so much documentation that there is an argument that if it was just a film of the dig, are they going to be successful? Yes, it was successful, and that's what happened.
But that's a by the by, because there is a flat ground at the beginning, and then there's a fucking hole at the end. So we were successful.
Oh yeah.
You know, right now evaluate what you could have done better.
That's what I just said.
No, you've just evaluated me and the dig. Now talk about your filmmaking.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's what I'm like. Sometimes struggle to let, like, if, and I don't have the power of foresight into it, but if it was just me and I was just like, I didn't have to take into consideration anyone else, it would have been, I probably would have gone purely observational.
Right.
And, you know, I just stayed way back, filmed it, but that's how we would have ended up with that kind of film where this is point A to point B to point C to the final, and everyone's having a party. And it would have been filled with people being, you know, talking about their experience on the dig, which now we're doing that same thing in a much more exciting way now because of the collaboration we spoke of earlier. So that's about it. Like, and it maybe just, again, it was tough because of how, you know, we were getting there early, getting there late, doing those evening edits.
That was tough on you.
Yeah, I think they kind of got in the way of me being able to just organise the footage, do this, and this is a good part, and logging it. Because by the end, I was fucking, that's space madness.
I bet you was insane by then.
Oh man,
I don't think that got in the way because it stopped us from being dishonest.
Yeah, of course. No, it didn't get.
You know
no,
what
it
I mean?
didn't
Like
get in the way.
The fact that you
haven't
got time. Go on, tell us.
Like there was one night, and I'd done an edit. I told Pete and Harry about this, and I must have been half asleep or something. And you go to brush your teeth or, you know, wash your face before you go to bed, and I'm like a zombie. And then it's like almost like I blacked out. And then I came to, and no word of a lie, had like just talcum powder. I was just tipping this talcum powder on my head, and I went, fucking hell, like I'm gone. And then I'm looking at the clock, like, I've got to be back there. And I think at that point you were like, we've got to get 6 o'clock to get the sunrise.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it's all about. Exactly. But I'd rather like it, and so it was tough. So maybe if I was a bit more disciplined with, but again, there's only so many hours in the day, isn't there?
I'm so fucking glad you weren't disciplined now. No, because no disrespect, Luke was disciplined, and I couldn't react to what Luke wanted from me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because
but the fact that you just fucking hang about and, do you know what I mean? And we laugh off set and everything. I don't. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, that's of course. Yeah. But, and again, that all goes back to. That kind of loops back to what we were saying at the beginning, and that collaboration, and then it's led to the way that I always work is this is what we've got, and this is what we're going to do with it to move forward. There's no point because we'll stop dead. It'd become an albatross if we were like, we can't do that, and you get anxious about what you've got. It's like this is what we've got, and this is what we're doing with it, and it's going to be great because now it's going to get so many more fingerprints on it from other people. Whereas if it was that. Not stagnant's the wrong word, but if it was that different method to it, it wouldn't have people's fingerprints on it. It would just be, I watched a bunch of people dig a club that they used to go to. Yeah. Whereas now it's got the potential to be so much more dynamic and diverse.
It can be absolutely trashy. It could end up looking like a complete dog's dinner, but it could be wonderful. Because let's say what we're going to do So we're gonna. So we got 20 days. I think we've got 18 days of 6-hour footage.
Around about 6, but some of them were half days, weren't they?
Yeah.
So around between 4 and 6 hours, I'd say. Some of those are interviews as well, like. Yeah. But we've got those, and then the idea is to
go on.
The idea now with the Reno 12 and people in this space, which I'm sure Linda's introduced people to by this point, is it's gonna be like a workshop essentially, isn't it? So as well as working on their own artwork and expressing their experiences from not just at the Reno, but from their life, anything that they want to address, and then also we'll have this workshop where each of them will be given, or a group of them will be given a day from the Reno, and then they'll be editing the footage, like with our assistance and our help. And I mean, it would be great. We'll get to do screenings, show them some films, introduce them to techniques, and help them. Again, it's an extension of people finding their own voice within the art world and using this medium to express something that otherwise is impossible for them to express. Which, again, that's much more exciting than the alternative of here's something that happened.
Yeah, and we can always do here's something that happened at a later date.
But for now, it's better to concentrate on what is, and it is still going to be that though. It's going to be here's something that happened, but it's going to be told in an exciting way, like with those metaphors coming into play and whatnot. So
because in a mad way, what it should end up being like, it's like if you went in the Reno and you focused the camera on someone for 5 minutes each in it, and whatever they're doing is that and then you add that up to be a film.
Yeah, because again, and it's there's probably people who've written about this kind of thing a hell of a lot, but it's also the Reno is more whatever that word means to the people who went there. It's more than bricks and mortar. Yeah, and that's what we're going to be able to address in this next stage of the project. Because you've gone right down, you've stripped it right down to its foundations, and it's old, decayed, and it's almost like you've unleashed all those memories and potential, and then you've covered it back up. Because it's so much more than the space; it's about the people that occupied that space. So,
And then we're going to occupy this space.
Yeah.
It's great to film you in. I like your shirt, mate.
Oh, well, look how I'm dressed for this film. Not had a shave, hair's all over the place. I've got dirty knees from walking the dog. But that was real fun. I feel really relaxed.
You've done this
before. Yeah, you've done this before, haven't you?
Are we done?
Let's go that, guys.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think so.